That's a good point, Senator Mounts. Maybe Chair Adams will let us talk about that as well after presentations.
Yeah, well, I got to run. We have our voting sessions at 9:30, and I've got a couple of amendments I'm working on for that.
We got caucus at 9:15.
Okay. We just want to make sure that our House counterparts know that the SB 610, which is the virtual education bill sponsored by Senator Washington, includes language that would put the Eastern Shore Education Consortium's virtual education program out of business in 2 years.
All right.
So
let's go ahead and call the meeting to order, and Senator Caruso will chat on that here in a minute.
Okay.
Everyone rise for pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I needed the agenda. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. This is our final Eastern Shore delegation meeting. Today is Friday, March 17th, and we need an approval. Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Mounts, could you please offer prayer for us this morning?
Oh, thank you, Chairman. I was just going to search my phone for a famous Irish prayer, but I came up with nothing, so I'm going to wing this one. Okay, everybody, if you could bow your heads for a moment as we thank the Lord for all the goodness, kindness, and support that we've been shown and given through him every day. And as we cherish and relish in that support, we look forward to taking that and showing his grace to the world. And through our duties, our jobs, our responsibilities, our incredible honor here in Annapolis, and for those outside of Annapolis carrying on their duties, and for their help and support of us. For that, Lord, we thank you, and for so much more on this glorious St. Patrick's Day, among the many marvels that you brought to our world. We bow our heads in grace and praise and thanks. And with that, we all say amen.
Amen.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
All right, real quick before we get to the congressman, could I get a motion to approve minutes from March 10th?
So moved.
So can I get a second? Okay, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed. Okay, so good morning, Congressman Harris. You're with us today on our final Eastern Shore delegation meeting. You are our only agenda item, a very important agenda item. I'm excited to hear about your new subcommittee assignment. Certainly offshore wind is top of mind, and without further ado, because we will have an abbreviated meeting, our caucus meets at 9:15 along with multiple subcommittees that we have here in Annapolis. We'll have to stop the meeting at 9:15, and Delegate Anderton, Vice Chair, will take over shortly thereafter. So good morning, Congressman.
Good morning. It's good to be with you, and I appreciate that this is crossover week, so it's a busy time in Annapolis. But I'm glad to be with you this morning. Let me just bring you up to date on a few things. First of all, as you mentioned, this year I do chair the Agriculture Appropriations Subcommittee, which funds the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So that normally entails an oversight function as well as a funding function. So, any items of concern in what the U.S. Department of Agriculture may be doing, please bring them to my attention. I do know that they have issued a new rule, what's called the GIPSA rule regarding the tournament system for poultry. We are going to try to put that rule in abeyance because it will harm the poultry industry. There's no question about it. It'll make us much less competitive against our global competitors. And I do intend to fully fight that the USDA on that issue because we can't afford to lose competitiveness again to global competition like China and Brazil. The other thing that is that's timely right now is that we've had an increasing number of whale deaths, as many people know, along the East Coast, especially the part of the Atlantic coast where soundings have been done in preparation for these huge offshore windmill projects. We had a great congressional field hearing in Wildwood, New Jersey yesterday with Congressman Van Drew, Congressman Smith, Congressman Perry, and myself. hearing from experts and scientists, including people who were former regulatory overseers at the Department of Energy, about how slipshod the whole process has been of approving these offshore windmills, not paying due regard to many things, such as radar interference for rescue and search missions for the Coast Guard, shipping channels not being intact, commercial fisheries, especially influenced now that these windmills are actually going to be placed much closer together than they originally were planned. And finally, now the effect on marine life, whether it's the horseshoe crabs on the southern New Jersey coast and the Delaware coast, or the whales that are now again being stranded all along the Atlantic coast, with very good reason to believe that it is related to the sounds that are being made as we industrialize the offshore area for wind. Again, there's never been industrialization offshore off the Atlantic coast in these migratory paths of these whales, especially the right whales. And it's happening now. These sounds, these disturbances will get worse as you begin to site these land mills, drive the pilings, operate these huge windmills, which in and of itself makes noises that could disturb marine life. So we're going to try to tap the brakes. We really are. I've been trying and successfully to some extent tapping the brakes for 6 years. There hasn't been a windmill put up. They were supposed to be functional by this year. There hasn't been a windmill put up off the Atlantic coast yet, with the exception of Block Island, of course, in the North Atlantic. But again, we're going to try to slow this down until we answer all the questions with regards to what these huge projects will affect. And I just think we need to do that. The only other thing I'm going to mention is that I will be attempting to bring smaller infrastructure projects into the district. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, again, whose budget I oversee on the Appropriations Committee, has many programs that counties or municipalities can tap into for water, and especially for water and sewer purposes. So if any of you know of any municipalities or counties in your jurisdictions that could use or are attempting to gain funds through the USDA, please let me know, because we can help expedite that. With that, I'll be more than happy to answer questions anyone has in the remaining few minutes we have.
Well, thank you, Congressman. Delegate Jacobs has his hand raised.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well,
You guys switched up quick on me. I didn't see that happen. But anyhow, good to see you there too, Carl. Good morning, Mr. Congressman.
Good morning.
I'm wondering if you had seen the press release that Governor Moore put out yesterday, requesting the federal government declare a fishery disaster declaration for invasive blue catfish and also flatheads and snakehead. Did you see that?
I did see it. I was a little discouraged by that. I'll tell you why, because that doesn't solve the problem. Declaring it a disaster means that that might be good for some of the other fisheries affected because it could transfer disaster funds, but it doesn't solve the core problem. The core problem is that we have to have intensive elimination programs for the snakeheads. We have to do it for the catfish, the blue cats, but you're not going to do that until you change the federal inspection regimen. And the governor did not call for that. And that's the problem. I need help from the states. And in this case, it's probably just Virginia and Maryland, where blue catfish is a huge problem. We need the states to call on the federal government to stop the ridiculous inspection regime that has been imposed on any watermen, any fishermen who want to harvest the blue catfish. So again, it's slightly helpful in that it potentially could economically help those other fisheries, people, watermen who participate in those other fisheries, but it doesn't solve the problem. The problem is we have to eliminate blue catfish. You're not going to do it. The most disappointing thing is one of the press releases I saw, it might have been from one of the senator's offices, actually implies that recreational fishermen are somehow going to solve this problem. That's not going to happen. You're not going to have enough recreational fishermen solve the blue catfish problem.
I didn't mean to get you so excited, but I know you've been working hard on this, and so have I. And I was glad to see at least the awareness factor coming out of the governor's office. And I'm certainly going to have a conversation with his staff about the USDA issue, which has been at the forefront for the last several years as a real roadblock in this, issue that we're dealing with. But at least everybody's sort of in the same boat now. I think we're rowing in the right direction. We just got to fine tune it a little bit. And I thank you again for all of your help, continued help with this, what I consider the biggest issue of the Chesapeake Bay right now with these blue catfish.
Well, thank you very much. And fortunately, the inspection regimen is a USDA inspection regimen. And since I chair that subcommittee, I'll be much better positioned this year to do what we attempted to do last year, which is to carve out an exception for invasive species, especially in the Chesapeake Bay.
Thanks again for that. I know it's a hard push, but I really appreciate all your help with that.
All right, so we have 5 minutes before the caucus meeting here in the House. So with that in mind, I see Senator Caruso and
Let Senator Mounts go first because
All right.
he has a meeting and I can stay on.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Senator Caruso. Thank you, Chairman. Congressman, great to see you. Good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Same to you.
I'm sorry, I just real quickly, your new subcommittee, can you explain that subcommittee a little bit, just real slowly, so we get a better understanding of exactly what that subcommittee is, kind of what the jurisdiction is and things like that, because I'm sure there are a number of projects and issues and things that, in the next couple of months, we'll be able to bring some stuff from the district to you that may be of interest and consideration.
Sure. So, and the time frame is actually a little tighter than that. It might have to be within the next 2 weeks. But the subcommittee jurisdiction is the entire U.S. Department of Agriculture. So everything, the rural programs, the farm programs, the price supports, the crop insurance, everything, and the Food and Drug Administration, because that's related because of food inspection. So it's a pretty simple jurisdiction, the entire USDA and the FDA.
USDA and FDA. I always get acronyms messed up. I'm going to write it down. So thank you. Very good to see you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So Senator Caruso, you had a question quickly before we have to adjourn?
Yes. And Congressman Harris, thank you for joining us and for the quick update. I wanted to go back to the offshore wind. You may have followed that there is a bill, SB 781 in the Senate. And the concern when we were having the bill hearing earlier was not only some of the issues you already raised, but this particular bill, how it would affect ratepayers and taxpayers because of the when you're looking at the expense of putting the transmission infrastructure in place. We specifically brought up some issues specific to Ocean City as far as given the population of Ocean City, that you wouldn't bring those transmission infrastructure on corporate Ocean City, given safety and socioeconomic issues. But then we continue to have the visibility issues, trying to get in line with what North Carolina and Virginia did with 27 miles out, and then and then these other issues with impacting ratepayers and taxpayers, especially in the bill presentation, they looked at what New Jersey was doing. My understanding is the developer in New Jersey is going back and asking for more money from the ratepayer. So can you just comment on your efforts at the federal level and how it relates to what we're doing with this bill at the Senate at the state level?
Well, you bring up a good point, and we had testimony from an economist yesterday at the hearing in Wildwood. In Maryland right now, under the current repayment system, the average electric customer would pay $100 a year. additional for this infrastructure. And that's before these windmill companies are going to come back to the Public Service Commissions, it's called something else in New Jersey, and ask for more money. Because of the price of construction has gone up. It has been delayed. The price of all the materials has gone up. They are going to have to come back to the Public Service Commission or to the legislatures to ask for more money. Those monies will be passed on to the ratepayers. It might even be twice as much. So potentially it could be $200 a year additional. Every household in Maryland may have to pay that. And again, since this electricity is sold into the grid, we may not even get the benefit of it. So it's just not a good deal for taxpayers, and that doesn't include the indirect payments that you've made, because we're subsidizing this through federal tax subsidies. So part of your income tax actually subsidize it. The direct cost to the electric consumer is estimated by this economist at this point to be $100 a year. That's just what's added onto your electric bill. That's not counting the taxes both at the state level, because there are state subsidies as well as federal subsidies for these projects.
And just one quick follow-up. Do you think there's value in doing the study piece of this before you would put everything together in one bill and go forward with the procurement?
Look, it certainly should. There should be complete transparency about what this is going to cost Marylanders. And again, I'm setting aside the cost to the environment, because again, the straw that's breaking the camel's back on this is, I think, the beaching of large marine mammals and whales specifically. So we should be completely transparent with people. Look, let's make the decision. If we want offshore wind, it's going to cost every family more money. It's an expensive way to produce electricity. We don't know what the long range effect of these windmills are on marine life. And we know it's going to greatly affect commercial fisheries, as well as potentially Coast Guard search and rescue missions because of interference with radar. These windmills that they're going to put up in New Jersey, and I believe they're going to come back and suggest they put them up in Maryland, are 919 feet tall. They make a lot of noise. As you know, Senator Caruso, they can come in as close as 10 miles offshore, according to the current leasing. Now, they said they're not going to, but they have leases up to 10 miles onshore. You will hear these windmills. They're loud enough, so you will hear them at night.
Okay, so the caucus meeting has started. I'm going to officially, I guess, adjourn the meeting, but if there's any other questions while we're waiting for the delegation staff to click the end button, I'll leave it up for anybody else who has any questions, but the official part of the meeting is I see.
Congressman,
Senator
can I just say
Mattias.
thank you very quickly, briefly. APLU was in Washington this week. I was there. On behalf of President Anderson, we thank you, Jimmy, Elizabeth Dent, for the time your office took with us as you navigate the Farm Bill. You know what our priorities are. We are grateful for your support. And on behalf of President Anderson, we invite you to the campus. God bless you, man. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, Danny, and the family. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And, we do appreciate that we have land grant universities in Maryland, and we appreciate what they do, and especially the agriculture research that's done. And, for anybody who's left on the meeting, look, please contact the office. The staff, most of the staff on the shore, whether it's Keith Graffius on the middle shore, whether it's Mike on the upper shore, Bill Reddish on the lower shore, and my other staff members, please let them know anything that we can possibly do for you.
All right, again, thank you, Congressman. Sorry that we have to cut the meeting short, but crossover week, you know how it is. I still have two members here, so if one could make a motion to adjourn and one could second, we could go ahead and close this down, and we'll see you all throughout our districts over the summer, and look forward to gathering together again in 2024.
Motion to adjourn.
So is there a second from the other senator? There we go. All the three of us. Aye. All right. See you in 2024.